Welcome to Morocco, an ancient and exotic land with vibrant streets, stunning landscapes, and a culture unlike anything we'd ever experienced before. But how did two Americans who'd never been to Africa or even the Eastern Hemisphere wind up here? Well, for that, we're gonna have to rewind a bit. It started with our first ever trip to Europe, where we had planned on spending 10 days exploring southern Spain. But when we learned that Morocco is only 9 miles from Spain and can be accessed quickly, inexpensively, and easily from its neighbor to the north, okay, maybe it wouldn't be so easy in our case. But we still knew we could not pass up the opportunity to visit Africa when we could literally see it during one of our adventures in Spain. So after 5 days of exploring in Andalusia, we caught a bus to Tarifa on the southern tip of Spain, where we'd be catching a ferry to Morocco the next morning. Or so we thought.
Skylar's just taking in all the views.
How much you want to bet I can throw a football over those mountains?
After 5 days of non-stop exploring in Spain, we only had 3 objectives upon arriving in Tarifa: finding our hotel, grabbing some food, and getting some sleep.
These houses all have really cute terraces on top. Oh, we can see another bell tower already. I think we can already tell we're gonna love this city.
We figured our Tarifa hotel would have a ton of character as well, considering the Medina in which it's located dates all the way back to the 8th century. But we were still a little bit surprised by just how unique and beautiful this property was. Now, our accommodations on this trip just keep getting better and better. We are in Tarifa and we booked a standard room, which is basically this bed, and a very interesting bathroom through there. We love all of the exposed brick and stone, but when we got here, the staff was so kind. They left this door open for us and said we could use the amenities through here. And that was because nobody booked this room that it connects with. I think both of them can be booked as a family room. Now look at this. The master suite is magnificent. We love all the lights in here and more of the exposed stone. It also has its own bathroom. It's a little bit more modern. And we also love all of the windows with the really old wooden shutters. It's too bad we are only here for one night. And I almost forgot to show you, the key to this room is literally like a key to a castle.
So our time here in Tarifa was supposed to be pretty low-key. We were just going to check into our Airbnb, grab some food at a restaurant, and go to bed early. But while we were doing laundry, we got a notification that our ferry tomorrow out of Tarifa to Morocco was canceled due to weather. The next ferry we could get on out of Tarifa wasn't until 5 p.m., but they told us that the ferry out of the neighboring town, Algeciras, was running tomorrow morning. So we booked that ferry. I think it leaves at 10 in the morning, but that means we got to get up super early tomorrow morning to take a bus from Tarifa to Algeciras to catch that ferry. So since we got to be up so early, we decided to just grab some pizza to take back to the hotel, which we already enjoyed up here on the rooftop terrace area. We also got Jamie a dessert that I know she cannot wait to try.
So even though things have not gone very right for us tonight, at least we had good timing with the storm because it is pouring down rain and it just started after we got back to our Airbnb after stopping to get this dessert.
This is frickin' crazy. Jamie's just over here enjoying her meringue. I really hope they let us on this bus, because if they don't, it's going to be a really expensive taxi ride. So online, they'd had 2 different locations where the bus could leave from. We just picked the one that was closer to our hotel. We got here. There is no ticket counter, so we are really hoping the driver can sell us tickets.
Thankfully, the bus driver took cash and we were able to catch a ride to Algeciras for just a few bucks each. And after around a half-hour ride down some pitch-black roads, we'd arrived. So thankfully we were able to buy our tickets on the bus. They were only €5 total, and we arrived in Algeciras about 2 hours before our ferry was scheduled to depart.
So we had plenty of time to spare. We were able to enjoy a pastry and some coffees. They were really good. We are told that we'd be able to get on our ferry around 8:20. I think it's about 8:26 right now, so it's time to go get on this ferry.
We've made it to the area where we wait to board our ferry. Now, we don't understand a lot of Spanish, but we think the staff have said that our ferry has not yet arrived. Now, considering that our prior ferry was already canceled, we're a little concerned that this one might be canceled or be significantly delayed.
There was just an announcement, and we think it means that it's time to board. We are really excited to see this ferry. It's supposed to be able to hold like 900 people and over 100 cars.
So we made it onto the ferry. It took a little while to make it through customs, but we finally did, and now we're sailing through the Strait of Gibraltar. We can see Spain on one side and Morocco on the other. We're pretty impressed with this ferry too. It's got a nice little cafe here, and it also has a duty-free shop.
So I don't think this is coming through in our videos, but even though this is such a huge ferry, it is rocking quite a bit. We're starting to get into rougher waters, and we definitely understand why the ferry from Tarifa was canceled. We did venture out briefly on the sides of the ferry to get views of Spain and Morocco, but it was pretty windy and kind of cold. We also noticed that the stairs to go up to the very top were closed off.
So for reference, we started out this morning here in Tarifa, and we were planning on hopping on the ferry to get down here, but instead we had to take the bus over here and hop on a different ferry, which is going to bring us just over here. We're going to have to hop on another bus to get to Tangier. How's it feel to be in Morocco? Yeah, it was kind of a stressful morning. Wow, I had no idea there were actual semis on this. Now, since we ended up taking a ferry out of Algeciras instead of Tarifa, we arrived in the port known as Tangier Med, which meant we'd still have a bit more travel time before we'd be in our final Moroccan destination of Old Town Tangier. We have finally made it to Tangier. Our ferry ride took a little bit longer than expected today. We were planning on waiting for a bus to take us from the port to Tangier City. We're told it's only like 30 cents, it's super cheap, but since our time is very limited, we had met another couple on the ferry and we all decided to go in on a cab, and that was the right decision. The drive is right along the coast, it goes up into the mountains just a little bit, and this country is gorgeous. We had amazing views and our driver even stopped off a few times so we could get some photos and videos. We got dropped off just steps from the Medina, which is where our hotel is, so we're gonna go find it. While they're preparing our room, they brought us welcome tea and biscuits. The tea is really good, and I think Skylar has tried one of the biscuit cookies.
Yeah, it's decent.
Once our room was ready, the staff showed us around. We loved all the bold colors and detailed woodwork, but we didn't stay in our room long as we quickly dropped off our luggage before checking out the rest of the hotel. We found a restaurant on the rooftop with fantastic views of the city.
We did read in the reviews that there is a mosque close to this hotel and you do hear the prayers. We haven't heard them yet.
We didn't end up dining here because we knew we'd be eating breakfast at the hotel the next morning and wanted to try food from other restaurants and food vendors in the Medina. Next, we were ready to go out and about in Tangier City to fully experience the Moroccan culture.
So after checking into our hotel, our first order of business was to get some local Moroccan currency. Now, if we would have been exchanging euros, they could have given us a really good rate at the hotel. But since we were exchanging US dollars, we had to go to a local currency exchange. Now, those places are all over here in Tangier, but we walked a little bit extra to go to one that was rated good on Google. Now that we have some local currency, we're gonna go do some exploring, try some local food, probably do a little bit of shopping, and definitely drink some Moroccan coffee since we're only running on about 4 hours of sleep.
We began by walking the streets and admiring what was available for purchase in the shops. We really enjoyed seeing the variety of foods and spices, especially the ones we weren't used to seeing in the States.
So we've been walking around this city for maybe 10 or 15 minutes, and already we can tell it's a whole different feel when compared to the Spanish cities that we have visited on this trip. While the buildings and the roads and the chaos is very similar, here we're approached by a lot more vendors and even children. So it's hard to be polite and engage here because then you're pulled in all different directions. You kind of just have to walk away.
So we were having a hard time deciding if we were going to get food or a coffee first, but then we walked by a coffee shop, Medina, right behind me, and it really drew us in because it had both traditional Moroccan coffee and Moroccan pastries. Now, I always get cafe con leche whenever I can, but I also wanted a traditional Moroccan coffee, but they were able to do the Moroccan coffee with spices as a cafe con leche here, and it's absolutely delicious. The spices really take it to the next level, and Jamie will show you the pastries she got now.
Now, I asked the owner which pastry was his favorite because he had so many to choose from. He said this one was, and I can't even remember what he said is inside of it. And then I also got this chocolate thing with pistachio in it. I'll try his favorite first. So the outside is very crunchy, and it has a sweet sauce on it, and I think inside of it is dates. I really like it. Now time for the chocolate pistachio.
Seems like you like that one better.
Well, I'm not saying I like it better, but this one reminds me of a Butterfinger.
I was going to say, it looks like a Butterfinger.
So when I tried it, it just reminded me of a Butterfinger.
But with pistachio.
Yeah, and I was surprised by that.
Cool. So since we didn't get into Tangier City until after 1 o'clock and have limited time here, and we really just want to try as much Moroccan food as possible, we decided to ask some of the locals what some good spots would be where we can just grab some good food to go. So they actually recommended a couple different spots, one of which is right behind me. We decided to get a kebab there, and it came with some French fries and some fresh bread. This whole meal was basically the equivalent of €4. I'm going to try some of this fresh bread first. So the bread itself isn't very flavorful, but I'm wondering if most people eat it with the kebab meat. So the bread does pull apart pretty easily, so I decided to put some of the kebab meat inside and make a little sandwich here. So as you can see, I am standing up now eating because I had to get my food off the ground so the cats didn't get it. The cats have discovered we have food. What do you think of those fries?
The French fries and the chicken are both good. We're gonna walk around and find another area to eat in, hopefully with a few less cats, because most of the time we were standing around here, there were cats literally fighting at our feet.
We eventually wandered into a large market. We were tempted to purchase some fresh produce, but were previously advised to stay away from anything that may have been rinsed with water, as it isn't recommended for tourists to drink. We did follow that advice and passed on the produce.
So we were starting to think that we had seen the majority of the Medina, and then we looked at Google Maps and realized there was a whole nother section that we hadn't even been to yet. So we went over to that section and we found a place that advertised live music. So we went in the door, went up some stairs, went up some more stairs, and then there was a room where it appeared that some people were singing karaoke. And then we went up like 3 more flights of stairs, and we ended up on this rooftop that has some really great views. Now, I will say we seem to be a little too old for this place. It's definitely somewhere that the younger kids hang out. But the good thing about that is that most of the young people here seem to speak pretty good English, and they're really friendly and always willing to give us suggestions.
We did end up spending some time here at the Buena Vista Tangier Club. We even met the owner, who was so welcoming and friendly. While I had a fresh orange juice, Skylar had his first and only beer in Morocco, and we both enjoyed listening to the live music. Next, we had to do some shopping, as we knew it was close to closing time for most of the shops in the Medina. And the next morning, we'd be leaving early to catch our ferry back to Spain. Along the way, we found another thing we couldn't pass up trying.
So after discovering an entire new part of the Medina and exploring that for probably an hour or so, we were really striking out on finding street food. But then we did come across this. I forget the name of it, but they say it's basically Moroccan pizza. And I think it only cost €1. I have never had anything remotely like that before. It's not like pizza. It's shaped in a triangle like pizza. That's about it. You can really taste the spices though. I think that's basically what Moroccan food is all about, is all these unique spices that they use. This is very good. Very eggy, seems buttery, and you can just really taste these spices.
So after trying that Moroccan pizza, we had been in the Medina area for a few hours and we're starting to get a feel for the culture. So we just decided to go for it. And anybody that talked to us, we just went with them. So we ended up in a souvenir store. We bought some souvenirs. Skylar did haggle a little bit. We probably could have got a little bit of a better deal on our items, but we're still really happy with what we got for 20 euros. After that, the store owner walked us to a restaurant who he was friends with the owner there. There he showed us around the restaurant. Then the restaurant owner introduced us to one of his friends. One of his friends showed us around the Medina and talked to us a while and brought us to a natural health store.
Now, even though we kind of thought like we were in a never-ending loop of being passed off from store owner to store owner, we really did enjoy our time talking to them. And while they were all trying to sell us something, none of them were really that pushy. And also having people show you around the Medina is kind of nice because it keeps you from walking into random people's houses, which I accidentally did once. I totally thought it was a shop because it was like full of mirrors and rugs and stuff. It was just someone's house that happened to have their front door open, but thankfully they were friendly and didn't really seem to care that much.
The sun just set, so we are gonna head back to our hotel, drop off our souvenirs, and find some place for dinner.
But before we could even do that, something else caught our attention.
So the street food vendors definitely seem to come out more at night here in the Medina. I came across another one. I don't remember what this was called, but I'm gonna give it a try. I think that's my favorite thing I've had in Morocco yet. It's kind of like one of those vanilla wafers, way better than that.
So we haven't even made it back to the hotel yet because there are all these food vendors out and about on the streets. Now this one kind of looks like shredded wheat cereal from the States and it costs 10 in the local currency, which is about $1. It's a little messy, but a little crunchy, a little sweet. I do like it.
And it doesn't matter if it's messy when you're eating it outside.
Yeah, I like it a lot. I didn't get any in my initial bites, but it looks like there's some nuts in the middle.
I don't know if it's all of the sugar, the caffeine, or just the excitement of being in Morocco, but I am feeling surprisingly energized for having only 4 hours of sleep last night. I really hope it continues for the next few hours because we still got more to show you.
So we did make it back to the room. We're only gonna give you a really quick room tour because honestly, we wanna be out and about exploring. Now, as soon as we enter the room is the bathroom. I have to point out these doors. They are wooden and they are beautiful. Here's our sink, there's a shower back there, and we have got a toilet along with a bidet. The main living space here is so interesting. The ceiling is very intricate as well, painted bright colors. We also have some snacks over here. We haven't been here long enough to eat any of them. They kind of look like bells. They're pretty cute. And on our bed, we have got slippers. I think these are robes. And we've got a coffee machine and a refrigerator down here.
So when we came back to our hotel to drop off our souvenirs, we noticed that there was a live musician playing here in the downstairs restaurant area. Now this is an avocado orange juice. It definitely looks more like a smoothie than a juice. It's certainly not the most appetizing looking thing I've ever seen, but I bet it tastes good. Yeah, it's just like a creamy orange juice. You can only taste the avocado a little bit. That's pretty good.
After our stop at the hotel, it was time to try some more authentic Moroccan food. I was in charge of navigation and we only took a couple wrong turns before arriving at our dinner spot. It was a small restaurant full of bright colors and Moroccan decor. We started with an olive appetizer and bread, but our main dishes were what we were excited for. We ordered a couscous dish, a kebab dish, and tagine. While we enjoyed all 3 entrees, the tagine was by far our favorite, and we loved the flavor of the different spices used in this traditional clay pot stew. After dinner, we wandered the streets and alleys of Tangier. We did find Google Maps to work pretty good in this city, although it did sometimes lose track of us when we were in narrow walkways in between buildings. But it did always pick us back up eventually.
These streets really do look different at night because all the vendors closed up their shops and there's a lot more scooters out. This is very different than the cities in Spain that we visited because those just came alive at night. Skylar is navigating us to one last spot, and it's one we've actually been to already.
We ended up going back to the Tangier Club to enjoy a mint tea and listen to some more live music before calling it a night and heading back to our hotel.
Good morning. We are back on the ferry here at Tangier Med. We woke up early this morning because our hotel reservation included breakfast. It was a buffet full of traditional Moroccan food. Now we started off by just grabbing what we thought looked interesting, and I think the staff could tell that we didn't know how to eat some of the foods. So one of them came over and gave us suggestions, and actually one of them made us a breakfast sandwich. Now the bread wasn't what we were used to. It was flat, kind of eggy, and kind of similar to roti bread, but that was probably the best thing we had. I also have to mention they had fresh squeezed orange juice as well as a mixture of orange and beet juice. Once we checked out, the hotel had one of their staff take us to the exit of the Medina so we could meet up with our taxi. Now Skylar had gotten the WhatsApp for the taxi driver that had gotten us to Tangier City the day prior, so we were able to arrange a time for him to bring us back to Tangier Med so we could hop back on this ferry.
Now, as we make our way back across the Strait of Gibraltar to Spain, we do want to take this time to kind of summarize our overall experience on our one day in Morocco. But before we do that, we do want to touch a little bit on the process of getting to and from the country. It was a bit of a pain getting to Morocco due to our ferry being canceled, but at least when it was canceled, I did receive an email notification letting us know about it. Today, we showed up at the ferry terminal at 10 o'clock, which was 2 hours before our ferry was scheduled to leave at noon. We gave ourselves plenty of time so we wouldn't have to be stressed out.
We are very thankful that they have a lot of signs in English as well here at the port, and they make it really easy by putting boarding on the floor. So all we have to do is follow these arrows now that we have our tickets.
But when we arrived and got our tickets, we noticed that the ticket said 3 o'clock departure time, 3 hours after it was originally scheduled to depart. Now that means we'd have to spend some extra time sitting in the ferry terminal in Tangier, which isn't really that nice, and there isn't much to do there other than petting the random cats in there, which is probably not recommended. Now the ferry did end up showing up maybe around 1 o'clock or so and ended up departing somewhere around 2, which is an hour before the 3 o'clock time on the ticket, but still 2 hours later than what we originally thought it was going to depart at, which doesn't make much sense to us, but all we can do is roll with it. And ultimately we are happy that we are still going to make it back to Algeciras in time to pick up our rental car and still get to our Airbnb in the mountains before it gets dark tonight.
Now the countryside and the hills in this part of Morocco were very surprising. I wasn't sure what to expect, but it is really gorgeous. We would love to come back and experience more of the rural areas.
Now, overall, our time in Tangier was unlike anything we've ever experienced before. It was a lot of fun, but it was also quite chaotic and quite exhausting. Now, while the winding streets were pretty similar to what we'd been experiencing in the cities in Spain the few days prior to visiting Morocco, unlike Spain, the cars and the scooters don't really seem to yield to pedestrians at all. So when you're walking through the Medina, you always do have to kind of be on the lookout for cars. And when you're on the narrow streets that the cars can't even drive on, you still have to be really cautious of the scooters that go flying up and down them. But without a doubt, the most exhausting thing about our time in Tangier was constantly being approached by people. Whether it was restaurant owners trying to get us to eat at their establishment, shop owners trying to sell us stuff, general panhandlers, or even kids asking us for money or to buy them something to eat. We were just constantly getting approached. And as much as we would have loved to eat at every restaurant and shop at every store, we obviously can't do that. And we also would have liked to help out some of the locals, but if you do give the beggars anything, you're gonna be a target. So you just kind of have to ignore them and go on your way. Now, I think the thing we were most excited about in visiting Tangier was the food. And for the most part, it didn't disappoint. There were a few things that we didn't love, but overall, we really liked trying all the traditional food. I think our favorite thing was that tagine dish and also that pastry dessert that we tried from a local street vendor. Now, even though we definitely faced plenty of challenges on our trip to Tangier, we're really glad we did it, and we would love to go back and explore more of Morocco. But I think we're both really glad that we're heading back to Spain Spain, where we're gonna head into the mountains, where we'll have plenty of peace and quiet, some good time to unwind, and hopefully not nearly as much of a language barrier. Now, if you wanna see the rest of our time just north of Morocco in southern Spain, then go ahead and click on this video next. Thanks for watching.